The space race was won long ago, and there hasn't been a major push in space exploration or technology for a substantial amount of time. The last time a human was even on the moon is a few years away from being half a century ago, but a new space race has begun and it's going to change global communication forever. It's 1957 and the US and the Soviet Union are locked into the Cold War. The Soviet Union has just launched the world's first satellite, Sputnik. Fearful of Soviet military control of space, the Americans quickly ready a rocket. With the world watching, it blows up. The space race is on, and the Soviets are winning. But as we all know, they each sent some astronauts to space and eventually the US beat them to the moon. The space race ended when the Apollo-Soyuz project was conducted, which was the first joint US-Soviet spaceflight, ending the competition between the two states in favour of collaboration. Following that, there wasn't a lot of competition when it comes to getting things into space. Companies have launched satellites and countries have worked together to create an international space station. But more recently, that's been changing. Some private companies, such as Virgin Galactic, SpaceX and Blue Origin, have been making great strides in space exploration and launch technology that haven't been achieved by government branches such as NASA and Roscosmos. Just by bringing the cost down with reusable rockets rather than single-launch rockets, private launch companies are a lot more viable, which SpaceX has proven time and time again with the Falcon 9. Blue Origin was the first to successfully land a rocket that had been to space, which SpaceX also did shortly after. This sparked rivalry between the two companies, which I believe will help the push towards new space exploration technology, as both companies will be aiming to outdo the other. While making rockets reusable is one of the most important steps in space exploration technology, it's not the next space race. The internet has truly changed the way that the world communicates, or so we think. More than 4 billion people, mostly in developing countries, still don't have access to the internet. This means over half the world's population is missing out on life-changing benefits of connectivity, from financial services to health and education, being brought about by the increasing pace of innovation known as the Fourth Industrial Revolution. This is the reason the next space race is on. In one corner we have OneWeb and Virgin Galactic, led by Greg Weiler, an eccentric billionaire and Virgin Group founder Richard Branson. In the other corner we have SpaceX, backed by Google and led by Tesla Motors, PayPal and Hyperloop founder Elon Musk. They're competing to create what is called a satellite constellation. The prize, the chance to sell high-speed satellite internet connections to billions of people throughout the world who don't yet have access, and in the process become a global telecommunications company to rival giants like Comcast and Verizon, and, in Elon Musk's mind, the opportunity to sell internet access to Martian colonists when the time comes. Satellite internet has been around for years, but extreme latency is a problem, making it impractical for real-time applications such as online games or live video chat like Skype. Both Musk and Weiler plan to eliminate that latency by placing their satellites in what's called low Earth orbit, which ranges from roughly 100 to 1,250 miles above Earth. By bringing their satellites closer to home than others, SpaceX and OneWeb could cut latency from 500 milliseconds to 20 milliseconds, which is about what you'd expect from a fibre optic home internet connection. The catch is that the signal from those satellites won't be able to cover as much of the planet as satellites in geosynchronous orbit, some 22,000 miles up. That means the companies will have to launch far more satellites to make up for the difference. Weiler told Business Week that OneWeb plans to build a network of around 700 satellites to blanket the Earth. Musk, on the other hand, told the magazine that SpaceX is planning a network of 4,000 or so. As both companies have major assets, this is not going to be a one-sided battle. Weiler has the rights to a broad range of the wireless spectrum, which is what the satellites were broadcast on. Richard Branson told Business Week that there isn't enough space for another network, and if Musk wants to get into this area, the logical thing for him would be to tie up with them. Musk has floated the idea of using a laser-based transmission to avoid licensing, though SpaceX's FCC application makes no mention of such a scheme. With Google and Fidelity Investments backing SpaceX, they certainly have funding on their side. In January, they raised $1 billion from the companies, which is collectively just under 10% of the company, while Branson-backed OneWeb raised $500 million from a large group of investors including the Coca-Cola Company and the Airbus Group. Sure, it's possible that one or both sides in this race will succeed in creating an affordable satellite internet service and bringing the entire world online, but it's just as likely they'll burn through billions in a competition that's just as much about astronomical egos as innovation. In my personal opinion, I'd love to see SpaceX succeed so that our mission to Mars is getting that much closer, which is likely as everything Musk touches turns to gold. Google is in on it. But with Greg Weiler's experience in internet and satellite networks, with Branson on his side, it's going to be a close one.